welcome to the Nova Files podcast. I'm here again. It's Peter from Medallion Comics, and I'm with...
I'm Dylan, not Jessica, from Creepy Trees Inc.
I'm Ian Miller for Dribble Thread Comics.
And I'm Greg from Supernova.
All right, a lot of people are going to be popping in and out of this particular podcast, but we cover a bunch of random stuff again, so have fun.
He went on a tangent about Mortal Kombat. I don't know if you watched those 2 episodes, but he's like, oh, and then there's this. He like always does that. So Hector's like, dude, like just you and me. I'm like, okay.
But yeah, no, we'll talk a little bit about Invincible, then we can talk about Mortal Kombat. But yeah, what'd you think of Invincible?
My God, it's insanely good, but that's the thing with the comic. You know what's coming, but I didn't think it was gonna go even further. It went even further because it was very violent. I was like, holy crap.
Oh yeah, did everyone watch it? Is everyone okay with spoilers?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but you can go ahead. It's not actually on my list.
I thought there was only 6 episodes, and then I kept seeing that one meme like think Mark think, and I'm like, that I haven't seen that, and then I was like, oh, there's 2 more episodes. And I was like, this is amazing.
Here's the thing though, the dialogue is in the comic with think Mark think, but that image, the way he's drawn, like think Mark, that's like purely from the cartoon. Correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, but there's this one joke I've seen which basically is a perfect capitalization of the final episode. It's like Mark saying to his dad, hey dad, I'm hungry, should we order out? And so like he's like, yeah, the dad says, I'm thinking Subway. You'll get it once you at least see the last episode. But no, that's the thing about Invincible, because especially if you've read the comic, you know where this is going. There are some things that have happened out of order. Like I'm pretty sure the Rihanna men were after Nolan beat the shit out of his son.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It does work putting it before, obviously. It doesn't really change much. The Guardians of the Globe, Rex became his new body much sooner. Not Rex, Robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, because I'm just remembering in the comics he changes his name to Rex later on.
Sorry for spoiling it, people. Sorry for spoiling it.
Oh, the comic's been finished for like a decade.
I've never read the comic, so like I guess it's kind of cool that I haven't.
Yeah.
Since I haven't read that, I don't know what's coming. So that's like for Harry Potter, I didn't read the last 2 books, so I kind of like the movies a little better because I didn't read the last 2. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, 6 and 7 are pretty cool. Well,
Christ Almighty, were those last 2 movies long? I remember the first one. It just feels like they padded out a lot of the boring bits of the book so they can make it 2 movies.
The 5th book, like the reason I didn't read the other 2 books of Harry Potter were because the 5th book was the last one I got, and every year I graduated, I moved up a grade in elementary school. My dad's like, here's a Harry Potter book, and I'm like, okay. And he actually like fought some old lady in a bookstore to get it. And I'm like, you didn't have to do that, and then the 5th book was like boring to me. But the movie is like so much better than the book, I think. Minus like little things that they should have added in all of the movies. But so I just didn't get the 6th or 7th book. And then the first part of the 7th movie was like just kind of boring to me. Because they're just like searching for shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's the first half of the book. So that's something that could easily be cleaned up, cut for time. But no, man, they gotta spread it out. Sorry.
But the other side of that is if they cut it 4 times, then the real fanatics of that who are going to see as close to the adaptation as possible would turn around and go like, we're abandoning you. We're not going to watch your second part because we know what you're going to cut now.
Yeah.
But it's that like there's so many, like you look at, and just to bring it in of like Lord of the Rings, for example. Tons of stuff that wasn't in the films that I needed from the books, but you got to accept that it can't be there. Otherwise, it would still be an ongoing film series that we would have abandoned by now because it's just too long.
Yeah.
I've watched those movies so much in my life, Lord of the Rings, and we just watched the extended version of the first and the second ones, and I'm like, how have I never seen these versions before?
You're not committed.
I've watched them a million times, and I'm like, that's new. Oh, that's new too. That's awesome. And it's like little things that they don't really need, but I was like, oh, it's still cool to like have them in there. They have like little jokes between Pippin and Mary, and I'm just like, what? Why is that in here?
But then you have the opposite, where you have The Hobbit, which was one book separated into three.
Yeah. They're like, it's going to be a trilogy. I'm like, oh, you didn't really have to do that, but all right.
Yeah.
That was totally unnecessary to do that.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I get where Jackson was coming from. I get what he was doing.
Yeah, you gotta bank on that trilogy money, right? Oh man.
Well, the thing is, like, you can do that kind of stuff, but I mean, ultimately, I think because like, just to bring it back, keep it in this vein of Lord of the Rings, because he did Lord of the Rings first, and we knew the way he was telling that story, he could never get away with just doing one Hobbit movie. He could have done one perfect Hobbit movie.
Yeah.
But then this, like, I can't even, whatever studio produced that, we were like, if you're not going to do it, well, David Goyer has already written Hobbit 2.
You know what?
And he's ready.
You know what they should do? They should make
Hobbit harder.
No. Hobbit 2 Electric Boogaloo. No, what they should do is, do you guys remember the animated Lord of the Rings movie, which was like the first movie, or the first book, I think? They should do that, but for The Hobbit. Just like the entire story of The Hobbit in that style of that animation.
There is an animated version of The Hobbit, but it's like from the 70s or something.
Yeah, like a really like bad shit style. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot, not a shit style.
I couldn't watch it just because like I like old stuff sometimes,
What
even if
was
it's like black and white or whatever. But like that,
It's like The Legend of Zelda. Was it the CD-ROM
Oh
version?
dang, we got somebody else joining in.
yeah,
Hey Ryan.
yeah,
Hey.
like depends on like how the animation looks to a certain point.
But actually, again, because we're still on topic, and it's one of the only things I'm actually excited about in life. Amazon Lord of the Rings show.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
Which
just
is
like happening.
It's still happening, it's still ongoing, and it's like episodes are in the millions in terms of price.
it's like Game of Thrones, except hopefully they don't ruin that.
It's more now. Each episode is more expensive than Game of Thrones now. They've already upped that. But the thing about that in particular is they can't do anything that's out of canon, because the Tolkien estate has creative control over it.
Yeah,
and so they can only go. So basically, it's before the Fellowship trilogy, so it's before that, and they're under the control of it. They've given loads of budget of it, so in a way, this could actually be the perfect adaptation.
I'm still gonna watch it because I didn't read any of those books or anything, but like I would still watch it because it's Lord of the Rings and
Right, exactly.
Game of Thrones though. Oh my god, the ending was just so bad. Unless if somebody's watching this and they're like, no, it was a good ending, and I'm like, no, it wasn't.
You know what's really sad? I haven't watched a single episode of Game of Thrones. I was waiting to finish it to marathon it.
Oh, I mean, no, the ending is really good.
Peter, come on.
I gave up after Battle of the Bastards, I think it was.
I didn't have a problem with that. Wait, that was a really good battle.
Yeah, that was like
the
that
one
was
at night, the one at night when everyone's like, it's too dark, and I'm like, yeah, that's the point. Why are you complaining about that? Like I turned my light off in my room and I could see it perfectly, so the lighting was fine.
You're just more clued in.
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't like it. Needed more light. I needed to see something. I mean, I was in the dark too, and I was like, wait a minute, turn the TV that way. I think we can see it. Hold on.
What I didn't like was that Jon Snow, like, he didn't do anything in that entire battle. I was like, he's just running around, but he didn't do it. So, like, you bring him back to life, and then he just like has no real purpose after that. I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna sleep with my aunt. Spoiler alert. Um,
I don't know. Everyone just kind of fucks everyone in that show, anyways. What I
Yeah.
think.
That's just lazy writing.
Makes you wonder what the word thrones really means. I'm back, folks.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they actually got a bunch of adult actors to play certain roles.
And then they killed like one of my favorite characters.
Ooh, finger.
Wow, I can't. Marjorie. They killed her, and I'm like, why? Why you gotta kill her? So.
I only started watching it because Sean Bean was in it.
Oh, and then like you're like, oh,
Yeah.
he's gonna die because he's Sean Bean.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, especially over this side of the world, where it's like he's quite he's considered he is a really good actor, but he's considered one that you'd be like, you see him in something, you're like, oh yeah, I'll watch that.
Yeah, you know
I'll
it's
watch
gonna
him
be
in
good,
it.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know? And then it is that like that because he's in a TV show now where it's like Death Race or something like that, and it's actually in his contract that he can't be killed off in it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because he was like kind of like
he's the go-to guy to get murdered.
Yeah, what's that typecasted? He's like typecasted in like die, basically, but like
Guy who gets killed,
I think one of the only movies he didn't die in that I know of is Silent Hill. Unless
I was just about to say,
he was already dead. But yeah. I was like, oh wow, he didn't die.
He did in the second one.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of Silent Hill, who's seen all those like super thirsty videos about like Lady Dimitrescu or something like that? The people are way too thirsty for that.
Resident Evil thing.
The new one that came out, the Resident Evil 8, I think, or Resident Evil Village or something like that.
Village. Except I haven't watched any of those movies. I haven't played any of those games, so like I have nothing to really say about that. I've seen the picture of her like around, but
long story short, think 10-foot tall giant vampire lady with huge maracas. And
Okay, I don't remember that character, but I'm gonna look that up.
for research.
Yeah, research. Let's call it that. Yeah.
Let's be honest, he's asking for sauce.
I'll put the picture somewhere on the screen for people that watch it later to be like, oh, it's this person.
Yeah, but I think I've seen like 2 or 3 videos of what happens if you hit Lady Dimitrescu in the butt with a fly swatter.
Yeah.
Well, I think I saw on Instagram there's already some type of nude mod for it.
Oh, dude, there's a bunch of nude mods. You'd be surprised what they can do for film.
No, I'm not. It's like, yeah, we've got nothing else in our lives but our mods on video games, really. You know, Witcher 3, all nud.
Yeah, just look up. Don't and do look up something called Studio Faux. Like they're like one of the best groups for making that kind of stuff. And don't ask me how I know.
Why do you know this, Peter? Is what I want to know. It's exactly.
I'm male and single. Okay, that's all you need to know.
Is that your second job?
They're actually the next guest on this discussion. They're coming on now.
But like, I know it all happened because Valve released Source Filmmaker, which was a free-to-use software which let people make movies using that kind of engine, and then they made Blender, which is even like better. And like you have a bunch of people using it to make movies online. Like I watched this one guy, Double Artemis, makes all these stupid cell versus videos, and they're hilarious and wrong and just raunchy, and I love them. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have people who are using it to make porn, and lots and lots and lots and lots of it.
Hold on, guys, I'm right back.
Yeah.
You know, your wife walked in the room.
And I remember this came out around this time. It was Mass Effect 3. So a lot of the early stuff used a lot of those characters.
Oh god.
And it's just kind of like ridiculous on what they're doing now. And I think that group Studio Faux ended up making their own video game, which was like kind of like an RTS dating sim kind of thing.
Stop.
And it's the most one of the most crowdfunded things on Kickstarter, involving adult entertainment.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to sell something on Kickstarter, get like a variant cover or something of like risque, it will sell. It does.
Yeah, it does.
I don't do that personally for my stuff, but I said that for Ronnie actually, because he has like a poster that he could get done, and I'm like, he only got like 7 days or whatever left, so just wait for like the next Kickstarter to do it. But he's definitely like, people are gonna pick that reward.
Think of it this way: you gotta quench people's thirsts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Sorry about that. 2-year-old. And
Yeah.
here comes the 2-year-old.
Yeah, so we should probably change topic because I'm talking.
The same
Oh, it's fine.
concept.
She didn't hear.
My,
She was in the bedroom, but now she's
my
patrolling.
3-year-old asked to be on this with me.
She's
So not this one.
patrolling now.
No.
My daughter just turned 3, actually. They're outside.
All right, so somebody change the topic because it's like if I go into this,
No, that's fine.
Well, it's even
She's not
just to
paying
see on
attention
Amazon because I
anyway.
know they're making another show, and then I'll stop going on about Amazon because it's actually I'm not a fan of the service.
She wants to say hi. Okay, there we go. Hi.
hello.
Hello.
Wow,
Event
Show her the
Horizon. is
t-shirt.
also-
Show him the t-shirt, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
now that's a plug.
God. Anyway, go ahead, continue. She's not going to stay long, don't worry.
The Event Horizon is also being made into a show on Amazon.
That's all right.
If you've seen that movie and you know how great.
Oh,
that
Event
movie-
Horizon, yeah, I wanted to see that actually. So
Yeah. I don't agree with anybody who says it's a bad movie.
That's the one where he went into like a black hole or something, or like
It's
time difference.
It's hell in space.
Oh.
Space is basically hell to begin with.
Guys, she's running around now.
But they're also turning that into a show on Amazon
Oh,
because Amazon has all the money, and I think it could be. Did anyone see what was it? Night Flyers.
no.
No.
That was it's on Netflix now. It's only one season. It's a George R.R. Martin short story. But Night Flyers is the thing that's come closest to Event Horizon.
Okay.
If
You
you
know-
haven't seen Event Horizon but want a taste of it,
I still want Stranger Things to come back.
Isn't season 3
I
coming
think
out this year?
it is. Yeah, I think I'm over it.
It's because they waited too long. Well, it wasn't really their fault. It was kind of like 2020's fault. But
Yeah.
and then everybody's like, I'm kind of over it because they're like 1,000 years old now, and I'm
They're
like,
older, right? Yeah. Then
there's
it's
still
not the
people
same.
that do that in other shows and movies that like.
I know. It just wasn't the same. It's not that it's bad. It just wasn't the same.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
have nothing against it. Like,
It's like a nostalgia to it. The fact that they were young, it kind of brought us back to the 80s and those
I like
Goonie movies and Stand By Me. Kind of like it felt like it was brought us to a different time.
like the Goonies.
Yeah, it was like once they got older, it was like, oh, this is Saved by the Bell. We're good.
Yeah, but that's still fine because Saved by the Bell is still nostalgic.
Right, but it would be a different feeling. That's all.
Yes. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with it. Like characters age. You know, this is not a cartoon. Where
course.
characters can be kids.
Still, I think,
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure it's still the 80s because Robert Englund is going to be in the next season. I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he's going to be like Freddy Krueger for like 5 seconds, but
He's gonna be the creepy new neighbor.
or that.
It's really it was the ending of the last season that kind of made me go like, yeah, I don't need another one.
They
They
kind of didn't need to do another one. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And then like, I'm like, oh, all right.
Like
And
I get the reference that they're trying to like. If you look at like the reference for each season, and I understand that they still have certain movies that they need to hit from the
Yeah.
80s. Like obviously, like season 4, it like really is Red Dawn. But again, it's at this point really, you know,
Yeah.
it's just like it's cash grab. We know it's probably going to be the final season, so
That's exactly what it is.
you want to talk about cash grab? Toy Story 4, that movie.
Oh,
Toy
we
Story
do
4
not
is a
need
cat.
Toy Story
Yeah,
4.
that's obvious.
yes, we did.
I said the plot to my friend without ever watching it. I was like, this is what's gonna happen. And then it was exactly what happened. I was like, wow, it's like I'm a writer. So
Yeah, but we know you have like a part-time gig with Pixar, so it's fine.
yeah.
Greg's got a
Honest
part-time job with everybody.
Yeah.
Honest
The
question.
busiest
everybody.
guy in comic books.
Guys, honest question, everybody here. Do you guys like sometimes watch something and know exactly what's gonna happen? Like, I remember I was watching the Legend of Korra series. The second season happened, and then they introduced this thing. I'm like, oh god, they're gonna make a dark avatar. And 5 episodes later, it happened. Yep, I saw this coming.
Yeah, I mentioned it. I don't know if it was a podcast or I think it was on a podcast that we're still coming out with some episode or whatever. And I'm pretty sure Dylan was on there or whatever, and maybe Ian. But I was talking about like horror movies, and like I actually
Oh yeah, I think I remember that.
Dream Warriors, and I've never saw it in my life until that day with my friend Dave. And I'm like, oh, watch, he's gonna like sleepwalk, and his veins are gonna come out. He's gonna be like a puppet. That exactly is what happened, and I've never seen this or at all in my life. And he's like, how did you do that? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's because we've consumed so much media in our lives that we can just basically, it's predictive algorithms. We're figuring it out.
I'm the Facebook algorithm, but I won't put you in jail.
Yeah, it was a movie there, Attack of the Titans, like the new one that came out in like the 2000s. And me and my buddy were watching. I'm like, oh, this looks like the opening to a God of War movie. And then like it just progressively gets worse from that. And I'm like, we're just predicting everything that's gonna happen without ever having seen like any original version of this movie.
What, did you ever see the movie Neighbors with Seth Rogen?
Oh yeah.
So
I saw part of that. Yeah. I
okay,
didn't see that.
so it's a good comedy. So they didn't say anything that there was gonna be a second movie. I'm like, watch, there's gonna be a second movie. I was saying this to my friend Ryan, like after the movie was over. I'm still in the movie theater. I'm like, watch, there's gonna be a second one. It's gonna be about a sorority. Like a year or two later, boom. I'm like, wow, who called that?
That's why I love some movies that are like not easy to predict.
Yeah.
Speaking of Seth Rogen, what was that movie where they were all food?
Oh, Sausage Party.
Sausage Party.
I did not see the ending of that movie coming in any way whatsoever, and I saw a lot
I
of
didn't
coming
see
in
that
that
one.
scene.
You should
That is
definitely
a
watch
great
Sausage
movie.
Party. There's something that happened at the end of that, but your kid should not be in the room.
Yeah.
You know, a
I'm
lot
surrounded by them right now.
It's like, oh, it's like a normal, like kind of like animated movie, and then you know, you remember Seth Rogen direct. Well, it's not completely normal because there's
Right.
But again, that's one of those movies that took him nearly like 10 years to actually get made.
yeah.
God. And wasn't there like another movie that came out before, but not actually came out? Was it the
The
Food
Interview.
Fights, Food Wars?
Oh no.
There's a show called Food Wars.
No,
Yeah.
I remember now. It was this really, really jonky animated CG food movie about like all the different things in the grocery store. And you had Charlie Sheen voicing a dog, and this really weird looking guy. It was like ridiculous. It's like it was supposed to come out 10 years before it came out, and they just ended up putting it out. And it's so much as a concept, it's very similar to Sausage Party.
Huh.
Let me find that.
I remember the year it came out was the year of food movies. So you'd Sausage Party, then you had all these like Oscar nominated like chef dramas.
Yeah, it's Food
Things like
Fights.
that. Like yeah, there was the year of we have nothing else to do. Let's
Right.
like
We're sick of the reboots, so let's just put out something about Chef Ramsay or
Oh,
whatever.
Jesus
Yeah.
You know, they
Christ.
could have just came to indie comics. We have plenty of content for them.
Oh, here's the thing, and this is like
they'll get there eventually, Ron.
this is a brag for everyone among us, but I feel like you're gonna find a lot more original content in an indie book than you would in other places, because you know why? We're unfiltered. We don't have committees checking what we do for better or for worse. So whatever's in our minds, it comes out.
Yeah.
We don't have a think tank we have to go through.
Exactly.
A focus group.
I just
But in many ways, that's probably the stopping block
Yeah.
nowadays. You know, that whole system would have to be. Well, I think kind of now that system is coming apart. Really, if you look at was it like all these movies that are just coming to streaming. So we're starting to now like a positive potentially from this whole thing is that it's going to be the breakdown of that system. And if everything's going to streaming the ability for even indie creators to create something on these platforms now is going to just skyrocket.
Mhm.
You know, if Dune if they can decide to go, right, we're going to put Dune on streaming. Yes, it's with HBO Max, and you know, everyone over, you know, your side of the world is going to get it, and we're going to be over here in Europe. We're going, one day we will see Dune.
Yeah,
Maybe
but,
when
you
it comes
know,
to Netflix.
That's why you get on the pirate ship, you know?
I can barely move rooms with the internet in my house. You really think I can pirate something?
Fair enough.
I shook the table too long here for a second, and ye all froze. But it's like that. I think it's something that we'll see, because it's something that I like when we started Creepy Trees, we thought we actually did about 4 or 5 episodes of a web series that we never put out there for Nightlands. That was like a separate kind of, we had this envision of we had a book that was going to come out, and then instead of doing other books that were like set in the world of it, we thought, wouldn't it be more interesting to do a web series like that? There were like just like 10-minute long episodes that eventually culminated into something, you know. But we'll see that. Like, one thing I noticed in particular, because I was trying to justify keeping my Amazon Prime subscription, was that so I was kind of going through it and seeing what's out there. The amount of just like 7 to 10 minute independent content on that is crazy when you go looking for it.
No, and that's great. I love
Mm.
how things are getting a new start on Amazon. Like, same thing with Netflix. You know, Netflix is producing a lot of things. Like we mentioned earlier, Jupiter's Legacy is coming out, and then on Amazon we had like The Tick a few years ago.
Yeah, I actually fell asleep
That
at
was
work
great.
while watching that. I was like, this is not great.
That's not good. But it is the thing. We still got the remake. It's not the remake we wanted, but it's the remake we deserve. You know, but a Freakazoid. If Freakazoid was to make a comeback now on Amazon, that's where like you can what's that thing? Take my money. Take my money.
Freakazoid would work better now than it would back then, because how big the internet is now.
Yeah.
They should do another animated series of Beetlejuice, but like the same kind of art style. Don't change it. I liked how it was.
That's interesting, because it would be interesting to see how Beetlejuice actually reacts to the world now.
Yeah, because they did that with like Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah,
I didn't watch that new one or whatever, but like made that movie or short movie or whatever, and it's like he's in present day now.
Yeah, literally, the house blasted off into space, traveled so fast that it went into the future or something like that.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice animated series. I like that. I was only reading another article about the lost Beetlejuice 2 movie that we'll never get.
Oh yeah, Beetlejuice goes Hawaiian.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be an Addams Family movie. And everybody wants Johnny Depp to be
No.
I can't even think of his name right now.
Gomez Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a very, very committed Addams Family fan, and the movie that came out, the animated one that came out, isn't that bad. We watched it a couple of times.
Yeah,
okay. But in no way, shape, or form should Tim Burton or Johnny Depp actually touch that.
Yeah. I know. Since you're the expert, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember the reason why the movies like flopped at the end, not that they were bad, was because the actor who played Gomez died.
Yeah.
So they actually, so they couldn't continue it as a trilogy. So then you had Addams Family Values, which is kind of like a soft reboot, but it wasn't as good. And I just remember like
Hello, Black Panther.
What?
I said hello, Black Panther. Same thing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And
that's because M. Bison was Raul Julia's last film role, and he only did that because his kids asked him to, because they were fans of Street Fighter.
Wait, the same guy who played M. Bison was Gomez?
Yeah. But he was dying of cancer at the time, so it was like he was literally like it's much like you see all the stuff that's come out about Chadwick Boseman now, where you're kind of looking at going like, how did we not see the fact that he was dying? Do you know, that kind of way? And it's particularly bad with Raul Julia's case, where you look at him in Bison and you think half the time he shouldn't have been there. which explains a lot about like there's a lot of people in that movie that really just shouldn't have been there. But yeah, it's the only reason that it didn't continue.
Hey guys, I gotta run, man. Sorry.
Yeah, Ryan.
Thanks,
Nice
guys.
talking to you.
I actually like Family Values over the first one.
Well, it was Tim Curry was in Family Values. He was Gomez in Family Values, if I remember correctly. I can't remember who was Morticia. It was the wrong choice. But Fox Kids did a really good version of the Addams Family.
Oh yeah, the cartoon. I really liked it.
Yeah, it went. No, they did a live action version that
Really?
went all the way back to the roots of the Addams Family from the Black and White show.
Family, how you do that one?
Yeah, where it was like it actually took its notes from the original TV show.
And they brought back the original Gomez, who played and he played Gomez's father in that series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie is making a Monsters movie.
I think it'll probably be his best movie if he does it properly, because it's the one property he really knows.
Really?
Yeah. Again, I'm a huge Monsters and Addams Family fan.
What?
Didn't Rob Zombie also do the Haunted World of El Super Bisto?
Yeah.
Oh, you know it. Awesome. I like it. I love that movie. That movie was such dumb fun. I'm sad it never got a sequel.
This past October, I saw House of a Thousand Corpses for the first time ever, and I guess he actually hates that movie. Like, he does not like that he made that movie. And I was like, oh, I didn't think it was like terrible. So,
Well, this is the thing with some directors will actually try to distance themselves from certain films. Here's a perfect example. David Fincher, first film was Alien 3. He doesn't talk about that film at all. If you see any of the making documentaries, he's never on. In fact, there's one image of him. He's talking to the camera and says, "Please see this movie."
It's
So,
yeah.
He doesn't like talking about it.
Well, it was booked. There was a huge. I think there was a huge disagreement. Like, apparently, it's like that. There should be a release the Fincher cut. Because it was like that his vision of what it should have been. Like, it was very much, this is the absolute end of it. If I remember correctly, reading something like that, it was very final, and we knew that, and there was no alien bursting out of Ripley at the end of it.
Yeah, the script had changed so many times. That's the thing about scripts. They're very much the blueprint. They're not the Bible. So it can be rewritten on many courses, but they never settled on an ending, where everyone was agreeing with. So they were just kind of like, you know what, we'll just do it this way, and we're just gonna stick to our guns with it. And obviously, this film suffered because of it.
And just to bring it back to the Rob Zombie reference, because House of a Thousand Corpses, while he wants to distance himself from it, it's probably I'd say it's probably one of his best movies. The problem with House of a Thousand Corpses is it came out 6 years after he made it, because it was one of those that was banned, like particularly over here. Yeah, it was banned over here. But if you want to see the one he had the most vision for, that is probably one of the worst movies I think he'll ever make, is Lords of Salem.
that looked weird, but it's him. But I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch that. That's just
it's I was really looking forward to it, because I thought, like, this would be something that he's going into his Argento phase, which is really what he wanted to channel. And it's 2 hours of absolute shit. It's the best way to put it. Like, there's so much where you're like, he was like, okay, so I want this like Argento, this is like Argento, this is like Clive Barker, this is like Argento, this is like Argento, this is like Hellraiser. So then there's a lot of that where it's like, I think there's like you should watch it, and this is a partial spoiler, but there's like a 15-minute scene where it's his wife again who's in everything, where she's just doing this. It's like 15 minutes long.
No, his wife is in a lot of his stuff, and like she even,
because no one else will hire her.
Yeah, she voice acted the
the
female
blonde girl
lead
that's
in Super Beast. I remember that.
Mm.
Yeah, he just has fun with his stuff though.
I think that's as much as I've just kind of shit on him and his wife, which I don't. If he ever sees this, I'm actually a huge fan. I actually am. I think he's one of those who he. It's like that when you know yourself, if you get total creative control over something and you have this idea and you don't have anyone pulling you back the odd time, that is a problem.
That's
think
the second Star Wars trilogy. This is a prequel trilogy.
Yeah, but yeah, that's in a nutshell. When everyone has this blind, like you even yourself have this blind faith in this thing, and you're like, this is how it's going to be. We're not going to change anything. Like you said, like we've written the script, we'll stick to the script. No, well, I only read it once. I don't need to read it again. No. I don't need to read it again. I know it. And then you film it, or you draw it, and then you look at it. Like even like look at this. I'm redoing a book now. That's like someone should have said something. Like someone should have turned around and said, "No." But other than that, Rob Zombie, if you ever do watch this, I'm actually a huge fan. If you find us, if you're ever on the Instagram or on the internet and you're like, this sounds interesting. Oh, I see they mentioned Lords of Salem. I'll give it a listen. Don't hate me.